How's it going, everyone? It's DK with RPM Gaming, where we talk about retro, PC, and mobile gaming. Hope everyone's having a great time over the holidays. We had a lot of family and friends over, and we had a great time playing with this right here. This is the Analogue 3D, a modern day Nintendo 64. We're gonna open this up, take a look at it, go over the OS. We're gonna take a look at the controllers that we're gonna be using on it. We're gonna take a look at a couple of flash carts that we can use on it. And last but not least, we're gonna go over how to set up custom box art for your cartridges. So let's dive in and get started. This is the first product from Analogue that I've ordered. I know they've got a few other consoles. I think one that plays the NES and SNES games, and I think one that plays Genesis too. One of their most popular ones is the Analogue Pocket, but pretty much everything on their website is sold out. And this is the Analogue 3D. It's pretty slick looking. And along with the 3D, we've got our power plug with the USB-C connection, our HDMI cable, and our power cord, which is a USB-C connection. And underneath the Analogue, we've got a couple of stickers and a QR code for a quick start guide, along with 2 cartridge cleaners. I went with a black model on this Analogue 3D because it's closest to my original N64. You can see here on top we've got a dust cover like the N64, and then the power button on the N64 used to slide up and down. This slides, but it doesn't stay in that position. It's just a simple press up for power. Then over here you've got your reset button. On the top of the console here, at the back and the front, we've got the Analogue symbol and branding. And over here on the right side, it says HDMI, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. And up here at the top left, that says FPGA. I think that stands for Fingerprint Game Edition, because this thing is super smudgy. No, I'm just kidding. That stands for Field Programmable Gate Array, which is the type of technology the Analogue 3D uses to trick N64 cartridges into thinking this is an actual N64. On the front here, we've got ports that you can hook the original N64 controllers to, along with our power light indicator, which also functions as our Bluetooth pairing button. And this has a couple of other functions, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Around back, we've got our power USB-C port, 2 USB-A ports, an HDMI port, and a spot for an SD card. And the SD card that's in here, I'm pretty sure has Analogue software loaded onto it. And the bottom is covered by a grippy texture with the Analogue symbol on it. The Analogue 3D has a similar design to the original N64, but it's a lot more compact and quite a bit sleeker, and just has an overall more modern look to it. 8BitDo makes an N64 controller that will work perfectly with this Analogue 3D. I was able to pick up one of these black ones here. And inside the box, we've got a couple of thumb caps, although you're only going to need one because this only has one thumbstick on it. We've got our 8BitDo N64 controller and our charging cord, which is USB-A to USB-C, along with our instruction manual. And this is a Bluetooth controller. And I'm sure you're probably able to use other controllers with the Analogue 3D with those USB ports on the back. But this one has the exact Nintendo 64 layout, and it's shaped almost exactly the same as 8BitDo's other controllers. A while back I done a video on breathing new life into your old N64 controllers and turning them into Bluetooth controllers to use with this Analogue 3D. And this is one that we done that mod on. And around on the bottom where you could slide in your rumble pack, that's where this Bluetooth and battery pack goes in. On this old beat up N64 controller, the thumbstick was decent for what it was back in 1996. But you can see how flimsy and skinny looking it is. But the thumbsticks that come on the mod kit and on 8BitDo's new N64 controller look like they got in the gym and got serious about it. That's what you call swole. Both controllers have that satisfying 8-way click around the edge, but the mod kit is a bit louder due to its plastic on plastic, while the 8BitDo N64 controller has a little bit of metal around the neck of the thumbstick, making it a little smoother and a little quieter. Both thumbsticks have the click down function. The face buttons, the D-pad, the LNR, and Z buttons are all rubber membrane connection, while the menu buttons are more of a tactile feel, and will be used in conjunction with the D-pad for hotkeys. If you're using an original N64 controller, the Start, Z, and left and right C buttons will be for your hotkeys. Before using the 8BitDo with the Analogue 3D, you'll need to download the 8BitDo software and then update this controller. If you're going with the mod kit route, you just need to make sure the toggle switch is moved over to D instead of S, and then use your pairing button. So these two controllers here, along with the original N64 controller, is what we're going to be trying out on this Analogue 3D. I've done a little bit of modding on 8BitDo's N64 controller. Took an old busted up original N64 controller that I had and swapped out the buttons. Unfortunately, the C buttons and the start buttons are the only one that worked. The A and B buttons were too tall to fit in here, but I think that Sakura Modding is going to be making some buttons that will actually fit in here, and when they do, I'll be picking those up. If you're using a mod kit controller like this one, and you're having a little bit of trouble pairing it with the Analogue 3D, try holding down the Z button during the pairing process. So we're going to turn it on first. Our blue LED is blinking. Now we're going to hold down our pairing button. Now it's blinking rapidly. Hit the pairing button on your console, and then hit the Z button, and there you go. Now once you have the Bluetooth controllers paired, the 8-bit Do controller, as well as the 8-bit Do mod kit, both of them will turn on the Analogue 3D. You can see that the mod kit takes a little bit of time to turn it on, whereas the 8-bit Do controller goes a little bit faster. Now this is not an original N64 controller, it's an aftermarket one, but it's pretty close. So let's see what the time is with a wired controller. About the same as the 8-bit Do, so pretty good. The only thing is, with any of them, you can't turn it off. You've got to go and manually press the power button.
First time you power on the 3D, you'll see the analog symbol, followed by a welcome greeting, and then you'll be asked to connect a controller. Now for pairing 8-bit Do's controller, push the LED button on the 3D to put it in pairing mode, and then power on the 8-bit Do N64 controller, and hold the pairing button until you see the green light start to flash. And then it pairs pretty quick after that. And then we press A, and it goes through the usual spiel about giving the breathing room, the user agreement, and the QR code is for getting the latest updates to the OS. We'll skip this for right now. Your analog is ready. And here's a list of the hotkeys for the 8-bit Do controller, as well as the original Nintendo 64 controller. And the first time you bring up your library, whatever game you put in, that's what'll show up, but it's not going to have the box art. We'll go over how to put box art, as well as custom box art on your cartridges in a little while. Right now, let's take a look at the setting. Over here you have Display, System, and About. Under the About setting, you can scroll down and get a QR code for the user guide. And then you can also see the list of hotkeys again if you forget them. Under the system, it'll show your version, and we're running the latest version right now, and we'll go over how to update here in just a little bit. Under the display option, you've got a few options to choose from if your monitor will allow it. Back over on the library setting, you can see it'll list the name of the cartridge, the player count, accessories, the region, and then the 4 dots in the bottom left, those are the numbers of controllers that are connected. And then if you tap the right C button, you can go in here and configure per game setting. Like under the hardware, you can turn on and off the virtual expansion pack. You can adjust your region if you need to. I just leave mine set to auto. You can turn on and off de-blur, 32-bit color. You can turn that off. I leave mine set to auto on this as well. You can disable texture filtering, disable anti-aliasing, force original hardware, and overclock. I leave this set to auto because some games will use it, but this can also break some games. To get the latest update for the Analogue 3D, you can head over to Analogue's website. You can see they have 8 new colors, which are of course sold out. So head up to support and then over to 3D, and then you want to download the latest update right here. And it will be a .bin file. And you're just going to drag and drop this on the root of your Analogue 3D SD card. You can open up the user guide, scroll down to Updating 3D OS, and it'll have step-by-step instructions for both methods of updating. The first is just using the SD card like I mentioned. The second is manually hooking your Analogue 3D to your PC.
We talked about the LED having a few different functions earlier. When the device is powered on, the LED is solid white. When it's flashing blue, this is controller pairing mode. When you hold down the reset button and the power button at the same time, the LED will turn green. This is for SD connect mode, or connecting directly to your PC from your console. Now the first time I tried to update the OS system, the update didn't take to the console. It was on the SD card, but it just wouldn't load on here. If you have that problem, you can force the update by holding down the LED and turning the power on. Hold the LED until it turns yellow, and this will force the update. You see the controller port start blinking down here, and you can see the progress bar on screen. The lights on the controller port indicate the progress of the update. So once all 4 lights are on and the progress bar is full, the update is complete. Your system will then restart. This process takes around 3 to 5 minutes. So even though this is a Wi-Fi capable device, you're not able to use it yet. So hopefully in a future update, they'll activate that Wi-Fi chip. All 4 lights are on, progress bar is full, your update is complete.
Any cartridge that you insert into the 3D, if it doesn't recognize it, you'll get an unknown cartridge like this right here. And while this is an original Nintendo 64 game, it's not recognizing it, probably because the pins are dirty. So this is where those cartridge cleaners come in pretty handy. You can slide it in there and rub it back and forth across the pins. Now let's see if it'll recognize it. And there you go, WWF Warzone. So let's take a look at some GoldenEye and see what we can do in the game. And you don't have to shut the system off anytime you want to change a cartridge. You can just pop it out and pop in the one you want. Oh yeah, this takes me back. The facility was always my favorite level on here. While playing in-game, you can bring up the in-game menu, go to your hardware, and we can take a look at what it looks like when we turn off deblur. Kind of hard to tell. I think turning deblur off makes the lines a little bit sharper, maybe. Not much difference when we turn off that 32-bit color. You can tell a pretty good difference when you disable that texture filtering. And you can see on the right side there, when you disable anti-aliasing, those lines get a lot more jagged. Under the display mode setting, we've got a few more options in here as well. BVM, PVM, CRT, scan lines, clean, and then for the horizontal beam convergence, professional, consumer, and off. Same on the vertical beam convergence. And I believe the consumer option here is what you used to get on like the old CRT TVs. And then professional would be like, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like what the newsrooms would use. And for the edge hardness, got soft, hard. I guess that's it, soft and hard. For the image size, there's not a whole lot of difference between the fill and the integer. But then you go to integer plus, and it blows it up a little. And then on the image fit, there's the original, and then of course stretch. And then cinema zoom. I'm gonna leave mine on stretch. I know probably a lot of you don't like that, but that's how I'm gonna go with. So what do you guys think? Is it just like you remember? You can bring up the in-game menu at any time and quit the cartridge, and you'll be brought back to the library menu. Now, if you're going to use a flash cart like the EverDrive 7, the first time you put it in, this is what's going to pop up, unknown cartridge, because your EverDrive is going to have to be updated before you can use it on here. And in order to do that, you're going to need an original N64. Now, if you don't already have an EverDrive cart, or you're not able to update it, or don't have access to a Nintendo 64, you can pick up this summer cart on Amazon, and I believe it'll work with the Analogue 3D straight out of the box. And the one I'm using is the EverDrive 64X7 by Cartridges. Let's go over how to update this real quick. In order to get your EverDrive working, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to this website right here, and I'll leave a link in the description as well. Cartridges.com, and go up here to the top under downloads and find your EverDrive 64, and then depending on which EverDrive you have, you'll want to download that file. We're working with the X series, so we're going to go with this one. And you'll download this bootloader right here, bootrom version 5.04.b64. After you've downloaded the bootrom file, pop in your SD card from your EverDrive 64. Open the ED64 folder, grab your bootrom file, and drag it right over here to the root directory of your ED64 folder. Now that we have the bootloader on the SD card and the SD card back in the EverDrive, put your EverDrive into your N64, press the Z button to bring up the menu, go to your system folder, scroll down to the bootrom B64 file that we downloaded, press A, and install the bootloader. When you do, you'll get this message here to press start to begin the update. When you press start, you'll see it going through. It should take about 10 seconds, and there you go. The update's complete. You can now turn off your system. And now you'll be able to use your EverDrive 64 with your Analogue 3D. Now let's go over how to get our box art on our games, as well as our custom box art. The first thing you're going to want to do to add box art to your Analogue 3D games is head to this website right here. And I'll leave a link in the description along with the other websites that we'll visit as well. Once here, head over to Latest, and then download this labels.db file right here. Once you've downloaded the labels.db file, pop in your Analogue 3D SD card, go into Library, N64, Images, and place that labels.db file right here. Now you can eject the SD card and put it back into your Analogue 3D. And now with that labels.db file loaded onto our Analogue 3D, any of your cartridges that you put into the machine will automatically show up now with box art on them. And if they show up as an unknown cartridge, then you need to clean the pins on them and then try it again. And now we got a Bug's Life, a little NASCAR 99, some War Gods, and last but not least, a little Lego Racers. Now that we have this labels.db file on our Analogue 3D memory card, you'll have box art on your cartridges that you put in. Now if you want to do custom box art like for the EverDrive or for the Summer Cart Flash Cart, you need to go into your games, and this will show a list of every cartridge that you've inserted into your EverDrive 64. You can see here we've got 2 unknown cartridges. So you'll want to delete all your unknown cartridges if you don't know what the number is for your EverDrive or your Summer Cart or whatever flash cart that you're using. So delete your unknown cartridges And then you can put your SD card back in your Analogue 3D, insert whatever flash cart you're using, turn it on, and then you'll need to turn it back off, and then bring your SD card back over to your computer. And when you look inside your SD card where we're at right here, you'll have an unknown cartridge and it'll have one of these numbers after it. And if you're using the EverDrive, it's usually this number right here, the 1C. I'm not sure what the summer cart number is. I've already renamed this to EverDrive 64 here. But if you want, you can rename yours to whatever flash cart you have, but you'll need that number right there. Now to add box art for your EverDrive, or just custom box art in general, you want to head over to this website right here. And again, it'll be linked in the description. Then we're going to choose a file, and we want that labels.db file that's on our Analogue 3D. So just navigate back in here under images and choose that labels.db file. And I've already done mine, but you can see here we scroll down to that 1C and we have our EverDrive right there. But yours won't have that on there just yet. So after we've loaded that labels.db file, next you want to choose whatever custom box art image you have. I have the EverDrive image I chose saved on the desktop right here. So you would choose that. Now we've got that image loaded in there. And then next you'll type in that cartridge number right there. So for any cartridge you want to use box art on, or for your EverDrive cart or your summer cart, you'd put that number in right there and then hit insert image to buffer. And once you've done that, you want to download that modified labels.db file. And once you've downloaded the modified labels.db file, this is not it, but it would show up in your downloads. And then you'd want to go into your library, your N64, your images, and then replace the original labels.db file you had in there to begin with. Then you'll have your custom box art on whatever cartridges you chose.
Alright everyone, that's going to be it for today's video on the Analogue 64. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you grew up playing the Nintendo 64, I think this is going to be one that you might want to pick up. If you guys do decide to get one, what colors are you planning to get? Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see covered on it. Like always, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time on RPM Gaming.